A Seattle man was tired of the gays getting all the attention, so he decided to throw his own pride parade. A straight pride parade. Oh boy. So this man is a blogger by the name of Anthony Rebello. And he was the main organizer, or the only organizer, behind the heterosexual pride parade at Seattle's Capitol Hill over the weekend. Now, get this, so over 2,000 people were invited over Facebook to attend the event, created, quote, in the name of equality and equal rights, to celebrate our right to be heterosexual and to encourage younger heterosexuals that they should be proud of their heterosexuality. Interesting how he has to keep repeating how heterosexual this is, but don't worry. Don't worry, I know what you're thinking. He's not discriminating, at least according to him. No, he's just simply celebrating his right to be heterosexual. Yes, his right to be heterosexual. Oh, okay, all right. So just how many people showed up to celebrate straight pride? Well, according to the Seattle Gay Star News, one. Just one. One is the loneliest number, you know? So, you know why people didn't show up to celebrate straight pride? Well, I've got a couple answers to you. First of all, straight pride, straight people have never been oppressed because of our orientation. Nor did we have to fight for our right to be straight and marry. You know, marry the people we choose. Never had any sort of discrimination when it came to that. Nor did we face any sort of prosecution for being straight. That didn't happen. And let me get into the history of gay pride, of the gay pride parades. Because I hear a lot, well, why don't we have a straight pride? Why don't we have a white pride? Now, some of these people are racist and homophobic, and some are just ignorant. So let me explain some of the history of why we have a gay pride parade. Now, the whole idea of gay pride parades came in the 1970s after the Stonewall riots in New York City. Now, what were the Stonewall riots? Well, excuse me. Now, what were the Stonewall riots? Well, the Stonewall riots were a week-long uprising between New York City youth and the NYPD. Now, the NYPD actually raided the Stonewall Inn. See, the Stonewall Inn was actually a pretty popular gay bar within the LGBT community back in the 1970s. Now, it was described as pretty much a dive bar, right, with very little in accommodation. It was very dirty. It wasn't a great place, but it was the only place that these people were allowed to be themselves. So why did cops raid this place? I mean, other than not having liquor licenses or anything like that, they actually raided it many times. And what they would do is they would arrest gay people for being gay. Well, why? Well, because at this point in time, gay sex was illegal. New York had sodomy laws on the books, and they were very strict at enforcing these sodomy laws. The act of homosexual sex, even in your private home, was punishable by either a fine, 20 years in prison, or a life sentence. Interesting. So, obviously younger people and gay people were very upset over this raid. So they ended up rioting and demonstrating, and that's sort of the short version of what led to the first gay pride parade. So, even from this, in New York, supposedly liberal New York, gay people have had a long history of being persecuted. Not this guy, not straight people. And on the subject of feeling persecuted, well, that's kind of the real reason that Mr. Robello led his ridiculous, silly rally. It's not about celebrating straight pride. it is about discrimination. In fact, the day after the SCOTUS legalized same-sex marriage nationwide, Mr. Rebello posted this on his blog. He wrote, "I think it's a trend, a cry for attention from your government, a distraction for money." Oh, interesting. I previously stated how I feel about marriage in this post. Marriage. I have also created an event, Heterosexual Parade Gay Mafia? Question mark. Maybe animals should be allowed to get married. Would they govern them and tax them too? While they're at it, how about equal rights for insects? In my opinion, there's a difference between a man and a woman. If you can appreciate those differences, you can enjoy those differences. I don't agree with boys turning into girls, and I don't agree with girls turning into boys. The word/meaning of pride doesn't belong to the gay LGBT community. It belongs to everyone. Well, as if the LGBT community is taking that away. That includes us good old-fashioned straight people. The way I see it, in my opinion, some boys never turn into men and some girls never turn into women. What a shit show. Welcome to the other side of the rainbow. Really? No thanks. Well, people said no thanks to your stupid parade. But of course, like every supposedly repressed minority, or I should say majority, of course, like every supposedly repressed majority, Rebello ended up shifting the blame. To whom, you ask? Well, none other than the gays, of course. He writes, "This is a positive event that the LGBT community tried to turn into something negative. Not everything has to do with gay people." You know, for someone who doesn't think everything's about gay people, he sure does think about gay people a lot. But he's totally straight. He's totally not gay. He's totally straight. He's so straight that he needed to make sure that everyone around him could see how straight he was while he parades around Seattle by himself. So incredibly straight. He just sounds like the straightest guy ever. Maybe he should have named his event the I'm Not Totally Gay Parade. Well, that would have worked. Or, better yet, the Seattle Bigot Pity Party instead of Straight Pride, because at this point, it's kind of the same thing.